Hey my friend, happy day. Danny C. Mooney's here. I'm going to be hopping on with Miss Emma Lyons in just a second to talk all about an experience that I had with her, so you can learn a little bit about her and how powerful she is, what she is doing in this world, and how she helped me overcome a upper limit belief that I had on a Facebook Live just a couple of weeks ago, and she did it in a matter of minutes. And so I really want to show you the power of different ways that we can shift ideas, shift beliefs that are stopping us from living our best life. So if you are new here, hey, Danny C. Mooney's spiritual designer, helping you find clarity on your spiritual journey. I tend to work with female entrepreneurs, visionary women who are ready to fulfill their mission and just find themselves getting in their own way. So we work on learning who we are from a soul astrology blueprint. We then heal any past life traumas, work with our inner child, heal all the stuff that is going on with us, so that we can then design a life that truly honors who we are. And so I'm super excited because, I work with women, I help people shift beliefs all on their own all the time. But it's interesting because sometimes, right, we as people who do work for others, so if you're somebody who is a coach out there or another healer out there, it is important, as you know, to do your own work, right? And so I definitely do my own work. I've been doing my work for years now, and I need other people, right? So I know I have tools that I can use for myself, and I use them all the time. But there's also something really beautiful about when somebody else can help you, when somebody else can see something that you cannot. So I'm excited to have Emma here because she is somebody who definitely works with other coaches and healers. And here she is. Hey, Miss Emma. Okay,
Hello.
I have to move my camera down now.
It's working. Yay.
Hey, so Emma, is this your first time doing a live on
This is
IG
I've done a live before, but this is my first time doing a live with someone else. So
with
yeah.
somebody else? Oh,
Yeah,
cool!
it's freeing.
I love it. Well, welcome. Emma, so go ahead and tell us.
Yeah.
I was just kind of preparing everyone, but go ahead and tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and we'll go from there. Yeah.
Sure. Awesome. Right. So my name is Emma, obviously. And what I do is I work with entrepreneurs and business people and people who are doing something they're really passionate about, but they feel like they've hit a block in terms of how much the money they make. And maybe they've tried all the things, they're doing all the right things, but nothing's really working to break through that upper limit. So I help them kind of clear the what's underneath, what's the root cause of the procrastination, the self-doubt, the sabotage, because all these things are really symptoms of a deeper problem, so they can really just thrive and make more money without like just spinning their wheels and feeling frustrated and like hustling all the time. So my message is that basically it doesn't need to be like that. It doesn't need to be constant hustle. Like I think there's a lot of info out there that that's what you got to do, but it's just not true. Oh, right.
Mm. I love it. I love it. So I'm excited for Emma to be here because she actually helped me, as I said at the beginning, she actually helped me, was it a couple weeks ago now?
Yeah.
Maybe? Yeah, a couple weeks ago with we were on Jennifer Hart Connected. So shout out to Jennifer Hart.
Yay.
She
Shout out,
brought
Jennifer.
us together because she was doing a live with Emma, and Emma was showing her brilliance and her power. And so she needed a couple of people who were looking to shift some things in their lives. And so I was glad and lucky to be one of the people that could be on there and could do that. And so I want to tell a little bit about my experience, and then Emma, if you want to talk about maybe from your
Sure.
experience and how
Definitely.
what you do. Does that work?
Yes, definitely go for it.
Okay, cool. So, for my experience, so, as somebody who does this work, right, as well, it's very interesting because I think it's important that first off, for people to know that people like us need help. We're not perfect. We need guidance and support from other people. And so it's really great when there's an opportunity for us to, help, get some help from somebody else. So I was excited. I'm always open. I know that I have blocks and limitations as I grow and expand. And so I had something with, which I didn't really realize when I started, right? It was like something around money, right? Because Emma's really good at that. And so I was like, okay, what money blocks am I ready to work on right now? And it was about allowing more people in. As I've kind of opened up and gotten more, put myself a little bit more out there, there's a point where I was like, I don't know if I can have all these people, right? I had some blocks around allowing my schedule to open up so that I could receive more people and serve more people, which was definitely connected to my money, right? And so within 15 minutes, Emma, maybe 15 minutes, somewhere around
10,
there.
15 minutes, somewhere around
Yeah.
there.
10, 15 minutes, Emma was able to help me recognize where that was, what it was connected to, and then shift it out. Like, goodbye. And literally I text Jennifer Hart that day, and she told Emma, like, literally that day I was like, okay, I'm going to open up my schedule. Like, I'm going to allow myself to receive more people, which was super awesome, right? As a business owner, if I want to grow and expand, I definitely need to have more people. So
Yeah,
it was super exciting. And it was so quick, which I think is really beautiful because it doesn't always, I think sometimes we think it has to take like hours and years, right?
Yeah.
I see people in therapy for years, and it's like, you don't have to be there for years,
No,
right? So
definitely not. That's one of my main messages. Like, this is just a belief that it needs to take a long time, but actually, no, it might take you years to get to a point where you're able to release it, but it actually goes in seconds.
absolutely.
So, yeah, in a second.
Change can happen in a heartbeat, right? Like, if we think about big things that have happened in our world, right? Especially right now, like things happened in a heartbeat, right? You probably remember exactly when this whole thing started to happen in the past couple of years. Like, it happened quick. It was quick and everything changed, right? Like, change can happen in a heartbeat. So if that can happen, why can't we change? Why can't we change those belief systems in minutes, in seconds, right?
Yeah, definitely. And we can. There's this whole idea that you need to take a long time talking about it. You need to lie on a couch and talk about it for years. That can actually be depths for some people. It works for some people. Some people, they're not comfortable going too fast, right? So fair enough. That's for some people, it's great. And it also depends on the therapist. But also for some people, what it can do is it can make them more and more attached to their story. So they're like, this is who I am. This is who I am. I'm not good enough. Like, it just reinforces the story. I'm like this because my mother did that, or my mother dropped me on the head, or whatever your story is. And it just reinforces who you think you are. So you're not letting go of the thing that's actually getting in the way. So the work that I do is about, we're recognizing it. That's the first step. And that's where some people get stuck. And then we're releasing it. And then you get to rewrite who you are from that point, because from that new place, because who you are has got you to where you are now, right? And if you want to get to the next level, the next plane of success, 10K or whatever it is for you, 6 figures, 7 figures, you've got to become more, right? Because who you are has got you to where you are right now. And if you want more, you've got to become more. That's the thing. You got to up level yourself. It's not, because it's not about what happens on the outside. It's what's going on in here that really makes the difference.
Absolutely. I love that. So tell us why it can happen so fast. Like, why does it happen so fast? Why was I able to 15 minutes later be like, oh yeah, why can't I just open up my schedule? Like, why was that hard for me before, and why was that not so hard after?
Well, because we got to their underlying cause. That whole thing about not wanting to open up your schedule, it wasn't because you're a bad business person or because there's something wrong with you. And sometimes I see people, they're beating themselves up in the head. I'm procrastinating. Oh, there's something wrong with me. And it's just like digging them in further. But these things are just symptom of a deeper fear. So what I see a lot of people doing is that they are treating the symptom of it as if it's the actual problem. And it's not. It's not. If you do that, it's like you're just doing the surface level. You're doing yourself a disservice because that's just on the surface.
Yep.
Underneath that, not wanting to open the calendar, there was a reason why. You're not doing that because it was fun or because you were doing that because part of you was afraid, right? So until we address that, you're gonna keep doing it. It's gonna keep coming back. Even if and I see like a lot of people, they're playing whack-a-mole with their self-sabotage or with their money blocks or whatever, with the procrastination or whatever it is for them. But until you deal with the underlying fear, and that's all it ever is really, you're going to continue really struggling with that problem.
Yeah. And I think it's really good to make a point here that, when we first started, I think you asked me like, what, so like, what's up? Like, where are you feeling blocked or whatever? And I was like, well, like I want to have more clients, right? I think that's where I kind of like was like, I'm opening myself. I'm ready to have more clients. And I don't even think I worded it that way I can't even remember what it was. That's how far gone it is now. I can't even remember what it was.
That often happens. People are like, after they're clearing, they're like, oh, that didn't even happen. A lot of people, they forget. They're like, oh no, I've always been like this. They forget because it becomes their new reality. So sometimes you need to remind people, well, 5 minutes ago, you were actually really afraid. And now it's not even real to you. It's like it doesn't even exist in your head as a concept. So it's about recognizing the shift as well, because sometimes people forget,
Yes. I was like, yeah, I literally cannot remember where I started. And I know I didn't start with clients. I know that for sure. But then you asked me a couple of different questions. You worked your magic. And, it was like, oh, I'm not opening up my schedule. And then it was like, why am I not opening my schedule? And it was because I was afraid that I wasn't going to be able to serve people at the level that I really wanted to. And it was like, whoa, like I wasn't even aware of that, right? It's something that I wasn't thinking. I was just thinking I'm going to be overwhelmed. I'm going to have too much on my plate. I wasn't even aware of the idea that there was a deeper kind of, reason, right? And so bringing that to my attention was like, oh, that in itself was enough for me to be like, okay, something needs to change here. But then connecting it down to something deeper in my childhood and it was fast. It wasn't like I had to go through all my whole childhood traumas, right? I could just go to a time in a moment that I knew of, was like, whoa, okay, this is where this is tied to from my past, where this belief kind of started to come into play. And that's it. And then it was like, oh, right. It was so quick because, as you said, we had to get down to that deeper. It wasn't that I was feeling overwhelmed or anything like that. There was something deeper.
Cover a story for something deeper. And that's always the way it is. Like people, and we're so connected to our stuff that we can't see what's underneath the surface because we're inside ourselves, and it's like it doesn't feel safe to go there, and part of us wants to avoid it. So it can really help to have someone kind of guiding you and showing the way, because we all have blind spots. People think that spiritual people or people who do therapists or coaches, they don't need help, but actually they need a lot of help. I think all therapists and coaches and healers, they should have their own people to go to, because you really need to be working on yourself if you want to be doing this work and helping other people, because you can't help other people unless you're working on yourself as well.
No, I had a coach that once told me, if your coach doesn't have a coach, then you probably shouldn't be working with that coach, because you should always be wanting to grow and expand, and your coach should always, or your healer, right? They should always be wanting to do that as well. So yeah, I totally agree with you on that. Everybody should be some people look at me sometimes, and maybe, I don't know if you get this, but it's like, oh, she's already got all her stuff together. She's already figured out all her stuff. And it's like, no. No. And it's like, oh, it's easy for you. No, it's not necessarily easy. I mean, yeah, I have tools to make it, it move faster for me, and I can shift things a lot quicker, but I still have to do the work, right? I'm not just like, oh, everything's everything's perfect now. I'm great. Like, no,
Yeah.
things are going along and I'm grooving and then bam, I'll hit something and it's like, oh, okay. What is this, right?
Yeah, and you have a choice. You can struggle with it on your own
Yep.
and eventually get to it, and that's fine. But you can get to things a lot quicker and easier if you have someone else who can see things that maybe you're avoiding or that you're not wanting to see, blind spots, because we don't want to see certain things because it's not comfortable, or we're like it's hidden down somewhere that we haven't thought about in you know 20, 30, 40 years, whatever
Yeah.
it is. And when someone else can tune in and see what's going on there and guide you to that place, you just need to release it. And it's really easy to do that. And I've worked with people with all kinds of stuff going on, people with all kinds of trauma, sexual abuse, and also I want to say also some people who haven't had really bad childhoods. We all have stuff, we all have things that hold us back, even if our parents were lovely and great and very kind and no massive trauma, because just being on this planet alone is enough.
Correct.
We're gonna receive like negative beliefs about ourselves and
Yeah.
negative beliefs about money, particularly, if you're a sensitive person. If you're
Yeah.
a sensitive person, like as a child, it's not necessarily what happens to you, it's how what you make it mean. So a parent, I heard about one guy that I know, he was actually someone that I was working with, and his parents had taken a lollipop from him and said he couldn't have that, and he, as a child, obviously as an adult, we know that's not true, but he
Yeah.
made that mean, oh, my parents are mean, they don't love me. And it's,
Yeah.
I mean, as an adult, you could see that that's absolutely not true. But if a
Right.
child gives it that meaning, that little incident can go on to sabotage
Right.
things on into the future if you're kind
Right.
of harboring that belief somewhere, or if the child part of you, the 3-year-old part of you, that still has a lot of control over us and our actions now, because when we're afraid, when the 3-year-old is afraid, that 3-year-old is going to sabotage us. That 3-year-old
Yeah.
old isn't going to let us move forward until we deal with that. Until we deal with that like stuck thing and release it, and that's how quick it can be. You
Yeah.
don't need to suffer with it. You don't need to struggle with it. That's one way of doing it with it, but it's not the only way.
No, no. And I will say with that is we're meaning making machines, right? That's how we make sense of our world, is we put meanings to things. And when we're looking at if we're looking at the meanings that we're giving things, right? Words are powerful. We're looking at certain words that we're saying or things that we're doing, we're making a meaning. Like, my love, he looked at me, right? I'm gonna make a meaning out of that. I mean, it could be like, he looked at me like, hey, what's going on, right? Or he looked at me like, what's up? What are you doing, right? I'm going to make a meaning off of that look that he gave me, and that's going to set me to do certain actions and behaviors based on that, right? Based on that meaning that I gave it, which
Yeah.
we're still doing this, right? It's not like at 9 years old we stop. No, we're constantly making meaning of our world. It's just,
Yeah.
it's natural. It's what we do. And so it's really important for us. I'm glad that you brought that up, for us to make sure we're also looking at the meanings that we're making of things, right? Like
Yeah, totally. I mean, we definitely do it as adults as well, but just as a child, it can be really deep stuff. And also
exactly.
as a child, we have no filter. We
Nope.
just kind of take in everything. We can't reject things so easily because, we want our parents to love us. We want to
Yeah.
be in the tribe with our parents. So
Hmm.
we'd sometimes just buy into whatever they say.
Absolutely.
Because, it's a survival thing,
Yep.
what? Because you making an extra few $1,000s doesn't trump the idea of you being in the tribe with your parents and being a survival. So it can really trigger that part of us. Like we
Yeah.
can wonder, why are we keep bumping against the same thing? Why can we not move beyond this certain money limitation,
Yeah.
the 10K or whatever it is for people, and
Right.
they just feel stuck there. And it's because there's a deeper part of you that's holding you back, and that doesn't need to be that way. You can actually release that stuff really quickly, really really easily, and without really trying, because I see a lot of people and they're in this whole effort mode. They're like
Mhm.
trying to make money, or trying, and that's kind of all that energy is really doesn't always move you forward. And
Yeah.
I think if you look on YouTube or whatever, the the vision of an entrepreneur or a business person is someone who works all the hours God sends, who works 24/7, who works seriously hard, never
Yeah.
stops, never gives up, all
Yeah.
this. And it's just not really a way that works for everyone.
Nope.
Because we need to we can thrive, we can earn with ease and flow. And that's how I've seen people that I've worked with, getting their clients or getting their first 10K month or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like it was hot, it was easy. They weren't hustling and working hard and struggling. They weren't in that mode. They were just really relaxed, and they just let it come in.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to talk really quick about the release aspect of it.
Yeah.
So because we kind of talked about like that understand that deeper level, right? What that is, the awareness, right? That something's up, and what is that? But let's talk about the release for a second, because I think a lot of people have some ideas about that. And my release was painless, right? It wasn't hard. I didn't have to do anything crazy. Like there was nothing that I felt like that I needed to be scared of in any way. And I think sometimes people think like, well, how do you do that? Like, how do you release it? And I'd like you to share, like, from your perspective, what was that like? What is that like for you when you're doing that?
Well, I just kind of see the energy moving. I just kind of tune in and help people to let it go, because if you're holding on to something, if you're harboring some old pain, it's because part of you thinks that that's keeping you safe. And what I do, the work that I do, is just about showing up, working with that part of you to know that you don't need to hold on to that anymore, and that something else is possible. Because also, it's parts of us, we make vows and promises that this is all we
Yep.
get to be, and that's all we vow, that we are always going to be poor, and that it's not safe to make money, or it's not
Yep.
safe. And then that vow can really, really trip us up when we try to move forward.
Hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. So you have a couple of things going on, or you have something coming up. I'd love for you to share with anybody if they're interested in, doing a session with you, getting some release from you, or helping release some of those money blocks that they may have in their life. I'd love for them to be able to connect with you. So if you could let us know where to connect you and then what you have going on right now.
Yeah, sure. The best way to connect with me is follow me over on Instagram, and you can reach out to me there. So you can just click on my face and find me that way. And I do have a couple of things going on at the moment, because I'm starting my money alignment mastery program, which is a
Awesome.
5-week program. And it's all about releasing your inner blocks to more success, more money, more thriving. And the last time I ran the program, as I mentioned before, like people, I have one lady, she's a personal trainer. People used to bargain with her, try to get her prices down. After the program, strangely enough, nobody tried to bargain with her anymore, and she was doing the same things. She was just
Wow.
showing up differently.
Yeah.
It was the way she was showing up that was different, because I don't advise people on what to say. I help people to show up as who they really are. Someone else, she got her first, she was struggling for like 24 months, and she got two ideal clients just popped into her world, and she hired
Wow.
people to do those jobs that she was really dreading, like the accountancy and the social media. So, and these were, she, like a lot of people, like if you were brought up poor, if you were brought up, when your parents were really broke, a lot of people have this idea that there's not enough. And then you have this kind of idea that I always have to, there's never enough. I always have to come with this kind of urgency, this kind of panicky energy. And I think that's really, really common. That's like one of the most common things that I see. And also the other thing that I really see a lot of in people is the idea the idea that you got to work hard, obviously, and also like a really, really major thing that I see that's not really addressed in sales programs and all that. It's how much you believe in yourself, because the most of the people that I work with, they really believe in what they're offering. I'm sure you really believe in what you're offering to people.
Hmm.
But sometimes if you're harboring this belief that, oh, well, maybe I'm not good enough, and oh, well, what I'm offering is really good, but I'm not really good enough, even if it's just a whisper or something that you're kind of pushing down or suppressing, if it's there, it's going to show up for the way you show up for your potential clients, the way you show up, it's going to hold you
Yeah.
back from having the level of success that you're after.
Yeah.
So like lots of people, they're like, well, part of them is their conscious part of them is trying to go this way and be successful, and the unconscious part, the subconscious part, is like, no, it's not safe, and it's like pulling you down. It's like you're trying to move forward, you've got this big ball and chain attached to your ankle. It's really,
Yeah,
really hard to move forward from that place. Like it's really, really hard. That's when you have all the struggle and the effort and the
right,
oh my God,
right.
burnout.
So I was in, so you might not know this, Emma, about me. I was in corporate for 17 years before I started my business. And so
Wow.
I was teaching leaders, right? I was teaching sales. I was guiding the next leaders in the company. And I was helping their team grow in sales. And so what I learned doing that was whether it was the leader or whether it was the salesperson, right, who was selling the thing, if they did not believe in themselves, there wasn't anything that I could teach them. Like I would literally have 20 people in my class. I would have two people who would take that information and thrive. And then I had about 60% of the class who just struggled.
That's
They learned it.
interesting. So it was a majority of the people in the class.
Majority of the people, and then there was
Wow.
a very few who didn't do anything, right? But majority of the group struggled even after I taught them exactly how to do it. And that's when I realized the belief in self, the mindset that they had, the beliefs they had about themselves, the beliefs they had about leadership and sales and managing people was way more important than any skill
Yeah,
that I could teach them. And that's actually why I
totally.
left corporate, was because I was like, hey, we need to talk about mindset. They need to talk about their beliefs. We need to, bring this stuff in. And they were like, oh no, just teach them the skill. Just teach them the steps, just teach them the process, just show them how to do it. And then I was no longer in integrity with that. And so I had to leave. It just
That's
didn't
such
fit
an
me anymore.
amazing point, Annie, because I really feel like out there for people in business, that is the strategy, that
Yep.
is the focus. It's like,
Yep.
buy this course, do that program, spend the money, invest in yourself,
Yep.
all these things, buy that funnel. And people are buying programs and things that aren't really that, well, first of all, they're being told that if you buy this magic funnel, it's going to solve all your problems. But I think very few of the programs out there do this deeper work, to be honest.
Absolutely.
Like sometimes they do a little bit on the surface, but like
Yep.
a lot of, I've been on a lot of those, very high package programs,
Yep.
and they offer some group coaching and group mindset work. But a lot of people, they have few people who really succeed, and they're the
Yep.
ones that are all the shiny testimonials.
Yep.
But a lot of people are left behind. You don't hear about them, and there's
Yep.
often, in a lot of cases, it's the majority of people who don't get the results that they're promising. They don't talk about them, but they're the people who need deeper work. And, I'm really a big advocate that it's time for everyone to step up now.
Yeah.
It's not just for
Yep.
the people who kind of can move forward. And I want to say, like, there's no shame in having money blocks or self-worth issues, because
No.
even people who are really successful, even Tony Robbins or whatever, he's going to be at a money
Exactly.
ceiling. He's going to be
Exactly.
hitting whatever it is, 10 million or whatever it is. I don't know what he's at, but
Yeah.
that's going to be his money ceiling, and he's going to be working on breaking through that. So
Yep.
it's, if you're noticing that you're at a money ceiling, that you have money blocks, there's nothing wrong with you. It just means
Yep.
that you're a human being. And
Yes.
we're brought up in a very dysfunctional world. I was going to say a different word, but we're brought up in a very dysfunctional world, let's say. And we take on these messed up beliefs. So it's kind of normal. If we live in a messed up world, you're going to
Yep.
be taking on all these messed up beliefs about rich people.
Yes.
When we're children, all the videos, all the fairy tales. Who's the wicked person? The wicked rich godmother, the Scrooge. All the people that are the baddies are the
Yep.
wealthy ones.
Yep.
So what message is that giving children about money? Oh, the first thing you hear about money is dirty.
Yep.
Then you don't want that money. We're just given so much dysfunctional messages about money, and it's not because, a lot of cases, it's not because our parents are bad parents. It's
No.
just because that's all they know.
That's all
So
they
they
know.
can only pass on what they know. And if they don't
Yep.
really love themselves and they don't feel worthy, they can't show you how to do that, because they don't know what that is or what that feels like.
Yep.
Um, that's something that when I work with people, if the part of them is like, I don't even know what it feels like to love myself. I don't even know. That's the kind of
Oh,
energy that you bring in.
yeah.
Because if you don't even know what that feels like, you can't
Right.
match that level. You can't get there.
Yep.
You can't get there. You can't even know what that might be like. So it's about helping people, know what it feels like, first of all, so that they can be at that in that place, come on, be in their business from that place moving forward, and that
Yeah.
changes everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us really quick, who is this course that it's a group coaching,
It's a
is that
group
correct?
program. Yeah,
Okay.
it's starting. I'm going to have like an opening week on the 11th, but it's going to
Okay.
be 5 weeks. It's going to be, so next week I'm going to just have like a week where people meet and greet, and then we're going to be starting the week after that. And
Perfect.
it's for people who own a business, people who are self-employed, people who want to own a business but are too afraid to do it, and people who have hit a money ceiling in their business, and they're like, they're working hard. Maybe they're at, because I've worked with people who are, stuck at 10K, 5K, whatever it is, 6 figures. It's about how to break through those inner blocks. And it's a hybrid program. So you have like you have the videos to watch, and then there's a weekly group call where I work with the group and work with individuals who have specific things coming up. And that can be where the massive transformation happens for people, because I had one lady in the program last year, and she was like, I helped her release something. Was it some resentment that she had towards her brother, resentment she had against herself, and she was like, wow, that's the most amazing experience of my life, because she had never experienced life without that. And she'd been carrying that around for as long as she could remember. So like releasing these things, it's like, wow, I feel lighter, people feel lighter, people feel brighter, people feel like totally different energy. They sleep better, they wake up better, in better mood. So this is the power. We're just letting go of stuff that doesn't really work for you, so that you can be more who you really are. That's basically it.
I love it. And so if anybody wants to join, what's the best way for them to get started on that?
Yeah, reach out to me on Instagram. I guess I can drop a link below, or you can just send me a message here and send me a direct message, and I'll get back to you, and we can have a conversation to see where you're at and where you want to go. So, but yeah, reach out to me, send me a message here on Instagram. Probably the best thing.
Awesome. All right, Emma, thank you so much for popping on with me today.
Yay.
If you feel like you're in that space, people who you're ready to hit that you're hitting that next ceiling and you're ready to break through it, definitely reach out to Emma. She's amazing. She's a beautiful soul. You can see that here. She does great work. I can definitely attest to that. And I wish you all the best. Thank you, Emma. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you soon.
Have a great rest of your day. Bye, Danny.